All right, we're about to go live. All right, looks like we're live on YouTube live stream. So welcome everybody to our March monthly call. We excited to have speakers from other communities that are joining us. So we're looking forward to that. So without further ado, we'll get started. Just another reminder on our community code of conduct. You can get the full details on the code of conduct text on our Cube.js repo, but just want a reminder that we want to have a safe, welcoming community. And what we'll talk about today, we have several community news that we want to share, including a great community contribution that came from the QuestDB team. So a couple of people are joining the call, so appreciate that. And then we'll talk about tutorials. I think we had like Igor, who's head of our DevRel team, talk about tutorials a couple of months ago. And the volume has significantly increased over the past few months. So we thought we'd like to sort of highlight those, although you may have seen the announcements on our Slack channels, including a tutorial that we did with the Appsmith team. So we have confidence from Appsmith team here as well. So we'll do a brief recap of that tutorial that we did about 3-4 weeks ago, I think already. So we'll be happy to go over that. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post them either on Zoom or also on the YouTube live stream, people who are joining on YouTube as well. So without further ado, we'll get started. On the community news, you've probably seen announcements on our social channels, and you may have also received email from us. Our next workshop that we're going to do is in actually a couple of weeks. I mean, the last workshop we did, I believe it was on January 17th, and we typically done it like once a quarter. But our goal is to increase the frequency of our workshop to obviously cover more topics and do it more often. Hopefully, pretty soon we'll get to a point where we're doing this about once a month. So we pulled this in. Normally we would have done this sometime in like late April, but we're going to have the advanced pre-aggregations workshop in a couple of weeks. You probably remember our first workshop we did back in August. It's already been like 8-9 months, was the pre-aggregations workshop. And ever since then, people have said, do you want to see us cover more advanced topics at some point? So we're happy to be able to do that. So the rough agenda is, we will go over some of the improvements we made on pre-aggregations since August timeframe. And then we'll definitely cover more advanced use cases like, optimizations, export bucket, rolling window, et cetera, et cetera. And there'll obviously be hands-on portion to our workshop as well that we'll cover. And then you can register the workshop. Register for the workshop at that URL there. It's pretty easy, /events/advanced pre-aggregations. And if you happen to miss our first workshop back in August, you can go to the events page there on the link and review all the recordings that's on our YouTube channel and the slides. So if you, even if you're somewhat familiar with pre-aggregations, I encourage you to take a quick look at that as a refresher, and then join our workshop in a couple of weeks, and please do register. Just one minor thing, there's something we've done in the past, like a 3 workshop, is, we've sent out like a thank you gift for people who submitted like a post-event survey. We want to do something like a slightly different. I even got a comment from somebody that says, please don't ship anything to me, because they wanted to avoid like contributing more than they're already doing to the carbon footprint. So I thought that was pretty cool. So what we want to do is something slightly different. We'll have a list of like a number of charitable organizations that we can make a donation to. So you can pick like, we'll probably have 3 to 4 options on different charitable organizations that you want us to make contributions to. So we're sort of vetting through the list of organizations, but we'll announce it in the next few weeks. So we'll do that something differently and help the planet a little by avoiding making shipments. So That said, so encourage you to come join us at the workshop in a few weeks. The next one, you probably saw this on our channels as well, our social channels as well, is we announced a community speaker program. And we actually work with a number of community members that wanted to go to conferences and talk about open source stack in general that includes like Cube in their IT organizations. So we've been working with them on helping them with CFPs, providing some content or helping them with their presentations. So we want to sort of formalize this a little bit, and you've probably seen this from other open source organizations that provide speaker support. So we started a Notion page. I mean, we'll have a more formal website at some point, but we wanted to sort of get the early iteration out there in the Notion page, and you'll find more details there, including the speaker forum. So let me just click on that to give you an idea of what that looks like. So it's pretty simple. I mean, your contact information, where you're located, with the time zone information here, and then you can select various topics that you're interested in speaking about, and any particular events that you might be interested in. So it's a pretty simple form. Just fill that out. And we also created an email alias if you want to contact us with questions. Encourage you to sort of take advantage of that and let us know if there are events that we're not aware of, or like events that you're interested in going to and would like to work with us to get speaker support. So yeah, I mean, feel free to fill out those forms or contact us through that email alias and let us know how we can help you. Cool. So I think that's sort of the two main updates from me. And then, as I noticed, we got this wonderful contribution from Andre, who's on the phone, and Nick, the CEO from QuestDB, is here as well. So we got this contribution on the driver for QuestDB. So Nick, I guess I'll turn things over to you. Do you want me to stop sharing so you can control the slides, or I'm happy to advance the slides too. Either way works for me. But
yeah, that would be ideal. Yeah, I've got nothing prepared on my side.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Just go through the slides and I'll advance, and then once we get to Andre's portion, I can stop sharing. So
cool. Yeah, I'll just do this one slide as a quick intro, and then Andre will take it from there. So. Yeah, thanks for having us. Super excited about this. So just to put things in context very quickly, QuestDB is an open source database for time series data. And you all probably know what time series data is, but essentially data indexed by time. So at QuestDB, we are focused on performance, and we have built the entire database from scratch without a single code dependency. And we do run very close to the hardware in order to get most from modern CPU architectures. And this took several years of R&D before we actually put the repo on GitHub. And this was about two years ago. Essentially at Quest, we want to combine high performance on both ingestion side and querying side with simplicity. And in order to do that, we chose SQL as a querying language. And we do have some extensions specifically for time series data. And on the community side, we do have approximately 80 contributors open source and 8K GitHub stars on the repo. And we got asked a lot about pre-aggregated queries. And this is where this integration, comes to light. And yeah, without further ado, I'll pass it to Andre, who actually built this. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Nick. So I'll stop sharing, and then I'll let you take control, Andre.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Thanks, Nick. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, as Nick already mentioned, we are kind of all about performance. We use column-based storage model as core of the database, let's say so. This allows us to benefit from synced instructions, so vectorized query execution not only. So we use synced to like calculate aggregates, as well as recently we've added just-in-time compiler for SQL queries. And there we use synced instructions to speed up filtering. So to make full scan queries really, really fast. Also, we kind of try to do our best to have small enough memory footprint for the database. And to do that, we're using a lot of different approaches to have zero-JC Java. So zero-JC here means that we avoid any allocations on the hot path. So while we're using Java to build the database, as well as C++ for high performance sensitive parts of the database. So for Java side, we kind of use zero-JC approach to build things. So as for performance, that's how we compare with other databases. In TSBS benchmark, that's timescale benchmark suite, an open source one, so you can like run it yourself on your hardware and compare QuestDB with other time series databases. So yeah, we're kind of doing pretty good when compared with ClickHouse, Influx, and Timescale in this concrete scenario and other scenarios as well. But since it's open source, it's up to you to just try that and run and see how it works for you. As for SQL, we use SQL to benefit from like querying capabilities, obviously. And as Nick mentioned, we use some kind of extensions of SQL and C-SQL syntax. We're trying to like adapt it for time series use case. So you can, which is shown on this slide, you can kind of search in time, like use more or less between statement. You can slice the time with sample by clause. You can navigate through time with latest on. This syntax allows you to kind of partition your data into different time series based on one column or maybe several columns and get latest values for each of these time series. And you can, of course, do some joins based on the time. And these are pretty basic capabilities, pretty basic extensions that we have in the database, and you can do much more with SQL, obviously. So it's like full power of SQL is there. And of course, we can try to make it better with each version. So why Cube driver? The answer is quite trivial, I would say. First of all, QuestDB supports PGWire protocol. So from the protocol standpoint, we are compatible with Postgres, while SQL syntax that we support and use is slightly different. But us supporting PGWire protocol makes integration very easy. So we just basically use any existing stable Postgres driver, and that's it. That's our starting point. And then we kind of just, I would say that, in my opinion, implementing this driver was kind of quite simple and quick. So that's first. The second reason is just Cube is we kind of like the idea of Cube. We find that it may help some of our users to use Cube as a form of materialized view, if you wish. So Cube, with its pre-aggregate features and capabilities and all of that, also Cube Store is quite powerful. So we believe that it might be beneficial for some of our users, and they kind of may want to use Cube. And of course, visualization matters a lot. So being able to generate a dashboard easily and see your data immediately is really, really powerful. That's great as well. So what's next? Speaking of our plans, of course, we are going to keep maintaining our driver. So feel free to submit any bug reports or anything else, like request enhancements, all of that. We will do our best to maintain the driver. We're also working on QuestDB Cloud, so the database soon will be available as a cloud, as a cloud service. Speaking of the database itself, we really actively working on making it of supporting replication for the database. The next step would be probably sharding, so we're going distributed. Then, or in parallel, we're going to add data compression feature and many other things. So we are trying to listen to our community, and we'll value our community when it comes to this decision making. And of course, you might want to learn more on Quest. So we have, of course, our website as well as GitHub repo. We also have a demo box, which is more or less like QuestDB instance with lots of data in it, available to pretty much everyone. And of course, if you want to learn more, just join our Slack. We are very active there, and we can continue getting know each other. So probably that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andre. And I think Christian's on as well. I think he was one of the main reviewers from Cube side on your PR. I think one of the things that you're working on is like end-to-end testing. Is that correct? I mean, Christian, you should feel free to jump in here as well. But I guess he's on mute. But I mean, go ahead, Andre, if you want to tell us about some of the end-to-end testing that you're working on. But
the PR is almost ready, so we will have better test coverage, I think, soon. Cool. So hopefully QuestDB driver will be one of the most stable and well-tested drivers for Cube. Cool. At least that's what we want it to be.
Yeah, cool. I mean, looking forward to that. I mean, we've gotten a number of drivers that were contributed by community members, and as you can see on the README file, the submitter or the maintainers are from the community. And Andre, appreciate your commitment to supporting the community on this, and look forward to more collaboration in the future. So
yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So
Thank
cool. You. Yeah. All right, thanks. All right, so let me go back to sharing my screen again. And the next up is, let me see, trying to find the screen. All right, so I think you can see this, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, sorry. All right. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we gotten, I mean, a lot of tutorials. I mean, just like a 6 in the past month. Like I noted, like when we had Igor on several months ago, we were excitedly talked about like a 2 new tutorials, and the volumes definitely increased over the past few months. And I wanted to invite Adnan back to the call and talk about some of the tutorials that we published over the past several weeks, and where you can find them. And then I'll let you take it from here. So.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, as you're saying, we have a ton of new tutorials that we have published in the last month or so. You can jump over to that slide and we can get the overview of those as well.
Yeah. Oops, am I not sharing?
You are, but it's the slide 13, so we can just jump down a bit.
That's odd. Like, all right, let me stop sharing and then reshare again. Something's not right.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Something happens when you stop sharing and then reshare. Huh. Now I completely lost the slide.
You want me to try?
Yeah, appreciate that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, give me 1 sec to see if it's going to work. Okay. Maybe this. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we can see it. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, awesome. So that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just maximize this a bit. There we go. There we go. So you can all see this now, right?
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, so these are all of the 6 new tutorials we have published within the last month or so, give or take a few days. And yeah, and as you can see, the majority of them are focused on charting, basically on a database. So we have 2 tutorials that are about Apache eCharts, as you can see with React and with Vue. We have one with Bubble, one with Bootybase, and of course one with our friends from Appsmith. We did a webinar a while back as well, and they're going to be here on the call in a few moments once I wrap this up about the tutorials. So yeah, I'm really happy with this because we've thrown out so much educational content and tutorials in general to get people up to speed with how to build the actual database on top of Cube. And I'm super happy with that, especially using open source tools like eCharts and low code tools, because we haven't covered that as much in the past as we're trying to do now. So yes, I'm really happy with that. And just to move on with what we are planning to do in the months to come, we're planning on doing one more with eCharts. We just want to round out all of the front-end frameworks, like the most popular front-end frameworks people are ending up using. So we want to write one with Angular as well. So that's going to be published very soon. We want to cover recharts, VisX, and Nevo as well. And then we are going to do a collab with our friends from Preset, and we're going to build, actually demo how to build bulletproof dashboards with Superset with the help of Cube. So those are just our plans for the future. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, if you want to get in on suggesting anything that we could write in the future, or if you want to write something yourself, do let us know. Either myself or Igor or Ray, you can just shoot us a message in Slack and let us know about your ideas. And of course, if you need any help writing it or any guidance or feedback or anything, we're definitely here to help you with that as well. So yeah, I'm super happy with the ways we're actually working on just feeding the tutorials and actually feeding the community with content that's going to be super helpful in the future with building your own things.
Cool. Thanks, Adnan. I appreciate the DevRel team's work on this. And just to echo like what Adnan just said, I mean, some of these 6 that you see in the previous slide actually came from the community. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why like we've been able to ramp up the volume. So any like a feedback or questions or suggestions will definitely be appreciated, and feel free to reach out to any one of us. Oh, cool. And then, yeah, and then I think this is a nice way to sort of segue to the Appsmith theme. And I mean, Confidence, that feel free to take control. I think then you can stop sharing, and I think Confidence can run with the slides. So.
Yeah, awesome. Give me a sec. There we go.
All right. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. So let me know if you can see this.
All good.
All right, cool. So my name is Confidence, and I'm a developer advocate from Appsmith. And today I'm going to be talking a bit about Appsmith. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what Appsmith is. So you already have the answer to the question right on the slide. Appsmith is a powerful open source framework to build internal tools. And the beauty of Appsmith is that it makes it really easy to build these internal tools very quickly. And I believe this ties in well with Cube, because a good number of the BI apps you'll be building with the data being pulled out from Cube would end up being internal tools. So Appsmith is there to make the experience of building internal tools as easy and as seamless as possible. Now, you may be wondering, why should you use Appsmith for internal tools? The reason is because traditionally, internal tools are hard to build. They're hard to build, they require a lot of time to write the code for, especially when you're coding from scratch, because you not only have to take care of the front end, you also have to work on the API server for these tools, which may connect to other sources and pull in data to display on your app. So you have to write the code. You also have to spend time maintaining these tools over time. So they're hard to build, and they're actually a nightmare. But on the bright side, Cube makes it a bit easy for you to build these tools, because it's really easy for you to export your charts and graphs from Cube to major UI libraries for the front end, so that you can use all of this in your application. So within a few clicks, you can easily visualize the exact charts you want for your apps, copy the code over and paste it into your code base, and right there you have that graph inside of your code base. So I think that's a really cool feature, and it's one of the features I love the most about Cube. But real apps actually need to do more than just display data. You may need to integrate with various data sources or other services. So for example, in addition to pulling data from Cube, you may want to also connect your application to a database like MongoDB or Postgres and pull in data from a different data source. You may also want to use services like Twilio or Stripe in your application. So you need to do more than just display data. And that's why you need to roll up your sleeves and build these tools. One way to go about building these tools has been using UI frameworks like Angular, React, or Vue.js. They make it really easy for you to write complex UIs easily, and that's why they're very popular. So you take some time to write the code and you have a good looking app. But that also does not cover the need for a backend server, because when you're building with these tools, you also need to spend some time to write the backend server that may need to go talk to a different database or integrate with a different data source. So that is something that still needs to be taken care of. A different solution can be using admin-focused frameworks. So you have tools like React Admin or Django Admin. These are a little bit easier because they get it going from a further starting point. You don't have to build everything from scratch. But the sad part is that you still have to write a lot of code, and coding takes time. It takes a lot of time to build, and there's also maintenance cost that is incurred as time goes on. On the other hand, a different solution would be to go with no-code tools. They're really popular these days because if you Google, there are lots of no-code tools to build apps. And the reason why they are so popular these days is because they are much faster to build apps with. So you could Google for a no-code tool, and within 10 to 15 minutes, get a really good application going out. So they're really fast, and that's really cool. But you end up sacrificing customization for speed. And this is the inverse of what you get when you go with coding from scratch. So when you code from scratch, you have all of the customization options. You can write your code, do everything you want to do for your app. You have all of the power to do whatever you want to, but you end up sacrificing speed. So to me, it seems the best solution would combine the speed of no-code tools and the customization options you get when you code from scratch. And this is exactly where Appsmith comes in. So Appsmith is a low-code tool that helps you build internal tools really fast. That is combining the power of low-code, which is speed, and the customization that comes with code or building from scratch. And the reason why Appsmith makes it really easy for you to build quickly is because you have a bunch of these UI widgets you need for your internal apps. And all you have to do is pick and choose or drag and drop whatever widgets you need into the canvas to build the perfect UI for your tools. And the best part is that you can actually write JavaScript any way to customize the experience of your application. A couple of months ago, we released the feature that lets you write full-page JavaScript with lots of custom functions, and that has just made it really easy for you to customize the experience of your applications. I should also mention that if you go with using a tool like Appsmith, you also end up eliminating the need to have an API server running. So you can directly connect to the database instead of building an API server on top of a database that would perform CRUD operations. So you have these native integrations to connect directly to a database, therefore eliminating the need to have an extra overhead of managing an API server. So thinking of databases like MongoDB, like Postgres, you name it, you can connect natively to these databases from within Appsmith. And you also have the option to speak with any service that communicates over REST. So be it REST or GraphQL, you can make this request and integrate with whatever services you need to build your apps. And I think the best part is that you actually, it's virtually impossible for you to lose applications built on Appsmith right now, because we just rolled out a new feature that makes it possible for you to sync your changes as you make them to Git. So it's the regular developer workflow where you create a branch, make commits, test them, and when they're good, you merge them back to the default branch. So all of that developer workflow is also available on Appsmith. And I believe Cube also has a similar experience when it comes to backing up changes you've made on your instances. One other exciting feature that Appsmith has is that you can self-host Appsmith in your private cloud to add an extra layer of security. So all of this kind of comes together to make sure that you have the best experience possible when building these internal tools. Now, I'm sure you're wondering how Appsmith ties in with Cube. Well, you don't have to wonder so much, because a couple of weeks back, we built an app. We had a live stream where we built an app showing you how easy it is to build dashboards or internal tools using Appsmith and Cube. And I'm just going to walk you through the application we built in February. That's a few weeks ago. So here I have the Cube dashboard open. So I'm just going to go to the schema so that you take a look at what we have going on here. So as you can see, we are pulling this data from Postgres database, and it's all about orders. So I can go to the playground and show you an example of visualizations we can build using the data being pulled out from Cube. So I'm going to run this, and we should get a chart here showing us total number of orders, total number of unique orders. We also have the total number of customers and the total order count. So all of that is visualized right in Cube. The beauty of it is that you can pull in all of this data coming from Cube and build complex apps on Appsmith. So I'm just going to show you an example of an app we built using the data coming from Cube. So here is an application on Appsmith that displays or visualizes the information being pulled out from Cube. And like I mentioned earlier, it's also really easy for you to integrate the app with other services or other data sources if you need to. So here we have a table widget showing the orders coming from Cube. This includes the count, the unique orders, the customers, and the other item. And all of this is displayed in a simple table. We can go on to turn on auto updates, which makes it possible to get the latest change meets the database. So that if you have apps right into the database, Cube pulls up that data and performs its aggregation, and we can have all of that data being refreshed here on the Appsmith app. And below, we have some charts showing some graphical information. So right here, we can see the total number of orders from each state. And the chart below is a little bit more complex, like the one you saw right here on Cube. We have this chart showing an aggregate information of orders, unique orders, and also customers. So this chart shows all of this information right here. And let me take a minute or two to show you how easy it was to put all of this together. So here, we have an API call that makes a query to Cube, and it pulls out all of this data shown right here. And it's really easy to build on Appsmith because, like I said earlier, you have all of these UI components already pre-built. So all you need to do is write some JavaScript to link data to whatever widgets you need for your application. So here's a table widget. And what we're doing here is that we are simply pulling the data coming from Cube, displaying it on the table widget. And let me just show you how easy it is to do this. So I'm just going to grab the table widget here and display that data coming from Cube. That's the order details query, and I can access the data by writing JavaScript here. So this is data.data. And you can see in the table here, we have the same information coming from Cube displayed. So that's really how easy it is to build an Appsmith. And when you need to do more complex stuff like the charts we have here, you can actually write JavaScript like I mentioned earlier. So I have a JavaScript file here that massages the data coming from Cube so that it makes it easy to display all of this information in the chart. So I have this simple chart function that transforms the data into a form that is suitable to plot that chart you saw on the canvas. And I can run this function and see all of the data coming in. So it's so easy to get stuff done when you have the opportunity or the ability to write JavaScript. And this is the logic for the auto update function. It's a simple set interval which calls the orders query on the specified interval. So I'm going to be leaving a link to the demo where we built this live so that you can see how we're able to walk through building this application and also go try it out for yourself. Now heading back to my presentation. All right, so I'm pretty sure you're excited about Appsmith. So what should you do? First, go check out Appsmith by visiting appsmith.com. We are an open source project, so you can also check us out on GitHub and leave a star. And please, I highly encourage you to build your first app using Appsmith and Cube. It's really easy to do. And like I promised, I'm going to leave a link to the chat right now. I believe I can copy paste this to the chat so that you are able to see the demo where we, okay, I can see Ray already shared this on the chat. Thank you so much. So that's a link to the demo where we built this out. I'm also going to add a link to the dashboard so that you can explore and check things out for yourself. All right, so I'm going to be backstage. If you have any questions, please do share them and I'll be happy to answer the questions you have.
Cool, thanks, Confidence, and thanks for the quick demo. And yeah, I think the tutorial last month was almost an hour, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, appreciate the quick summary. And yeah, went ahead and posted the link to the YouTube video, this Appsmith, like the YouTube channel. I encourage you to take a look at it. You'll see Confidence working with Adnan and Igor during the workshop. Yeah, and then the blog post that was sort of the inspiration for the demo, Adnan went over as well. So cool. Yeah, thanks both to the Appsmith and the QuestDB team for joining us. Good to have other communities sort of join our monthly call, give us an overview of your community and your technology, and especially appreciate you joining late in the evening for Andre, and then late in the afternoon for both Nick and Confidence. So Trying to see if there are any questions on YouTube or Zoom. I don't think there are any questions from the audience. Otherwise, we can wrap things up, and we'll resume. We'll meet all of you again in about a month, and we'll definitely have a product update, which is like a one thing we skipped this month. So we'll plan to have Ryan back to provide product updates and give you an update on what we've been doing. And if you haven't registered for the workshop yet on the 30th, please do so. And I'll see you all online.